Goosebumps monsters come to life.
Oh no.
Oh yes. The werewolf.
He's a big teddy bear. Not friendly.
Come on, scaredy cat.
The invisible boy.
What was that? Oh, he's such a cracker.
The gnomes.
I'll save you.
The snowman. The blob. The mantis. The poodle.
Hello, cutie.
Goosebumps. Rated PG. In Beauty 3D.
Hello, and welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We have got a packed show for you today. We've got at least 6 movies to take a look at for October 16th, 2015. Yeah, 6 films. I just got that correct. But let's start off with the biggest of the new releases, and that is, of course, Goosebumps, a.k.a. the type of family film you should be releasing in October and not whatever the hell they were doing with Pan. But upon moving to a big city from a big city to a small town, a teenager, played by Dylan Minnette, finds a silver lining when he meets the beautiful girl Hannah, played by Odeya Rush, living right next door. But every silver lining has a cloud, and Zach's comes when he learns that Hannah has a mysterious dad who is revealed to be R.L. Stine, played by Jack Black, the author of the best-selling Goosebumps series. It turns out there is a reason why Stine is so strange. He is a prisoner of his own imagination. The monsters that his book made famous are real, and Stine protects his readers by keeping them locked up in their own books, while Zach unintentionally unleashes the monsters from their manuscripts, and they begin terrorizing the town. It's suddenly up to Stine, Zach, Hannah, and Zach's friend Champ, played by Ryan Lee, to get all of them back in the books where they belong. So yeah, this is of course based off the very popular Goosebumps series that a lot of us read back in the 90s and all that. I mean, and of course there was the TV series, and really, you had to be one of two people. You were either a Goosebumps fan, or you were an Are You Afraid of the Dark fan. And for me personally, Are You Afraid of the Dark, I think, was the much better show. I mean, Are You Afraid of the Dark took a lot more chances than Goosebumps did. Goosebumps had some very fun ideas all across the board, but, I mean, Are You Afraid of the Dark has moments that still hold up after all these years in terms of scare factor, man. I mean, that show scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, but, this movie in particular, it's one of those ones where, coming from the trailers early on and looking like a film where it really felt like they were going to just kind of take the idea of Goosebumps and not make anything out of it. I really did think they were going to just do nothing about it, and do kind of the same thing they did with Pixels earlier in the year. And not to mention the last pairing that Jack Black and Rob Letterman, the director of this, did was Gulliver's Travels, and of course we all know how that turned out. But, much to my surprise, and much to everybody's surprise, they actually did a pretty good job of making this work. They make it work solely because they respected the source material, they respected R.L. Stine's creations, while also managing to put together some very funny scenarios over the course of the film. I mean, the film is essentially kind of like a kid-friendly version of The Cabin in the Woods. I mean, down to all these different monsters coming out and terrorizing this town. I mean, it's a very fun concept overall. Yeah, the story's nothing new or creative, but what the film does with it leads to a surprisingly enjoyably fun family film that's not afraid to take chances, and it takes a lot of chances with it, and it does work very well. I mean, this was definitely one of the big surprises I saw coming out that season, and yeah. It's a fun movie. It's a fun film that you could see why it's become kind of the perennial Halloween favorite. Like, you watch Freeform or FX every year, and this one always shows up on there for good reason, because the movie is pretty fun all across the board. I liked it. I thought it was a ton of fun. It was definitely one of the big surprises of the year, easily. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. Goosebumps, very fun film overall. Even if you're not the biggest Goosebumps fan, you can still find a lot to enjoy about this movie. No question about it, So let's go ahead and move on to another really good movie that came out this weekend from Steven Spielberg, written by the Coen brothers, starring Tom Hanks. This should have been a big awards contender, and it was. Maybe not the biggest hit the studio was hoping for, but nevertheless, it's still a great movie, Bridge of Spies.
The Soviets got our spy pilot, and they got their spy to execute the most dangerous negotiation of our time. Prisoner exchange.
I'm an insurance lawyer.
We sent an ordinary man
There's a cost to these things.
behind enemy lines.
We do this for our country.
From director Steven Spielberg,
We're in a battle for civilization.
Tom Hanks,
I'm here so they know where we stand.
This is not the original deal.
The next mistake our country's made could be the last one.
Bridge of Spies, rated PG-13.
Note that you don't see the main focus of the movie, and we'll touch on who that is in just a moment, but, yeah, one critical character is not seen in that trailer a whole lot. You see him in, like, brief flashes in the beginning, but that's about it, but in this movie, it takes place during the Cold War, where you have a lawyer, James B. Donovan, played by Tom Hanks, who's recruited by the CIA and involved in an intense negotiation mission to rescue and exchange a CIA U-2 spy plane pilot, Francis G. Powers, played by Austin Stowell. that was arrested alive after his plane was shot down by the Soviet Union during a mission with a KGB intelligence officer, Rudolph Abel, played by Mark Rylance, who was arrested for espionage in the United States. And as I said before, man, it really did seem like a winner where you have, Tom Hanks, once again reteaming with Steven Spielberg, in a film written by Joel and Ethan Coen, set around the Cold War. Hells yes, this movie is going to be excellent, and sure enough, this movie really is one of Steven Spielberg's best movies of recent memory. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie, and I really do think it definitely fits up with some of Steven Spielberg's best recent films in general. I mean, this movie is outstanding. Of course, you got Tom Hanks, who's always going to knock it out of the park as giving a great performance in this, and he plays James B. Donovan so well in this. He's basically kind of the opposite of an Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. In fact, the whole movie can be seen as somewhat of Spielberg's To Kill a Mockingbird, and I make the Atticus Finch connection to James B. Donovan because he starts off as somebody that doesn't want the job he's been given, and who's opposite to Finch, who seemed more than happy to take it when he got the case the first time around. But once he gets more involved in it, he knows that he's doing his job, even if he has to go against everybody who just wants this to end quickly. And you see the backlash. You see people throwing things at his house. You see people that are basically coming up to him and going like, "Why are you doing this?" Like, this is a great performance by Hanks that really fits this role to a T. But it's no bigger than the other performance that is in this movie that's worth talking about. And like I said, you didn't see a lot of it in that trailer there, but let's talk about Mark Rylance, who is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. This is him making his first leading film debut, essentially playing I say a leading film, but it's more of a supporting role. In fact, he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. We'll touch on that in just a second here, but this guy is an outstanding actor, and he shows it in this movie as Rudolph Abel. He is absolutely fantastic in this movie, and you can see why Spielberg wanted him to be the big friendly giant for his next movie, which we'll get to that in the summer of 2016, which is another great movie. But this movie, I remember when I saw this, I thought to myself, man, this guy, if he gets an Academy Award nomination for this, I mean, that's going to be great for him, because he definitely deserves it. And sure enough, not only did he win, not only did he get nominated, but he also won, which was a big surprise considering who was also nominated in that category that year, Sylvester Stallone for Creed, which we'll get to that film in November. But here's the thing. Everyone wanted Sylvester Stallone to win for Creed. Hell, I wanted Sylvester Stallone to win an Oscar for Creed. I mean, the guy should have won an Oscar back in the day for Rocky, for either writing the script or acting, which he was up for both awards, but of course he didn't win the writing Oscar for that, but he also didn't win the acting Oscar, specifically because he was in the same category as the late Peter Finch for Network, so he was kind of screwed out of the water on that front there. And so here it comes, another chance for him to get an Oscar nearly 40 years later, and lo and behold, here comes this performance from this really great actor that sadly puts Stallone to the side here. And I was glad Mark Rylance won. I would have liked it if Sylvester Stallone had finally gotten that Oscar he long deserved, especially for what he did with the first Rocky movie, because he was great in Creed too, but at the same time, he was essentially playing the same character we've come to know him for. It was kind of, it's kind of like Eddie Murphy in Dreamgirls. He was great in that movie. It would have been amazing if he won the Oscar, but in a year where you had really good performances all across the board, with Alan Arkin winning the Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine, I mean, it was going to be hard for Eddie Murphy to win that award to begin with. I mean, you could say that Norbert kind of killed his Oscar buzz, but at the same time, I don't think it really would have helped in the long run. I think he still probably would have lost if Norbert had not come out. But for Mark Rylance, man, I was really happy he won the award for this, because he is the heart of this movie. His performance is so good in this. And, before this, he'd done a lot of work on Broadway. He won Tony Awards. I mean, he was a recognizable actor there. And for his first acting debut in a film, I mean, he really, well, I wouldn't say acting debut. I mean, his first real big role opposite somebody like Tom Hanks. I mean, he has to go up against Tom Hanks, and Steven Spielberg does a great job of working with this guy and showing the potential he has as a great actor as a whole. I really love this guy. I think he's a terrific actor. I thought he definitely deserved to win the Oscar for this. It's a great performance. It's a really strong performance. It's right up there with Tom Hanks as the most important performance of the film. You also have a lot of other really great actors in this. Amy Ryan, Alan Alda, Sebastian Koch, who, if he wasn't as old as he was, I could have easily seen him playing James Bond. He's just got that look and feel for Bond. But unfortunately, the Bond producers know not to go too old with the character, a la Roger Moore again in the late 80s, but So I don't think it ever happened. But Koch playing Vogel in this is really, really good. I mean, this movie has a lot of great performances. The writing is great. The story is very good. It's investing. You get into it because you really don't know how the story is going to end in general here. There is a lot of good tension, especially in the finale. You really have that feel when they're doing the prisoner exchange. You're just expecting something really terrible to go wrong because of everything they have been building up to that point. And you're on your edge of your seat throughout this movie. And that's what makes this movie so special, man. The way that this movie builds the tension up, how this whole exchange is going to work out in the end with these two enemies, and it just works. It also helps that you have great cinematography by Janusz Kaminski, who is always going to deliver great cinematography overall. And again, some of the best cinematography of the year, giving the movie this nice visual beauty to it overall. This really is Spielberg's To Kill a Mockingbird. Greatly acted, beautiful cinematography, great music by Thomas Newman, an excellent script. This is why you go to a guy like Steven Spielberg. He knows he doesn't have to just rely on big blockbusters, but can also tackle these dramas like this and make them feel just as epic and exciting as they should be. It's one of the best movies of the year easily, and it's one of Spielberg's best, and shows that the guy still has it even after all these years. Like, ever since then, he's made a lot of really good movies. The VFG's really good, The Post is really good, The West Side Story is one of my favorite movies of the decade, The Fabelmans is a great movie. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with Disclosure Day, going back to sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Spielberg is considered still the greatest director we have out there. And this is definitely one of those movies that shows you why. This is definitely very high up there with my favorite movies of the year. Bridge of Spies is a terrific, terrific film. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to another great director who has a new movie out this weekend, Guillermo del Toro, with not one of his better movies. In fact, I would argue that this is probably the worst thing he's ever directed, but not all of it is bad. Let's talk about Crimson Peak.
A new love. You're so different.
From who?
Everyone. An old house. Trust me. Never go below this level. One evil secret.
Has anyone died in this house?
Oh, thanks. Monsters of us all.
Now,
You're imagining things.
only she holds the key to unlock the secret of Crimson Peak. Rated R.
So in this movie, you have Mia Wasikowska playing Edith Cushing, who's running away from a family tragedy, and she marries Thomas Sharp, played by Tom Hiddleston, a mysterious stranger. She comes to live with him and his sister, Lady Lucille Sharp, played by Jessica Chastain, and starts to find out that Sharp's home is filled with ghosts. And like I said, Guillermo del Toro is one of the best visual directors we have out there, and to be perfectly honest, one of the best directors out there, period. He hardly ever makes a bad movie to his name, and I remember a long time ago I talked about how every good director is entitled to one bad movie, and let's just say, Guillermo, this is yours right here, buddy. It's not that I don't think the movie is bad either, I just think it's very underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, this is an incredible looking movie, and there's a reason why you get a guy like Guillermo del Toro to do a film like this. He's one of the best visual directors out there, and this is it right here, man. The movie looks amazing, the visuals are fantastic, the ghost effects are really good too. This is a gorgeous looking film, but everything else is where you see Del Toro dropping the ball big time. I mean, yeah, the visuals are nice, but what do we always talk about here? Great visuals don't make a good movie, and this movie is pretty lame. I mean, this is a bland, boring-ass movie. The characters, well casted, but they're boring, they're melodramatic, and offer up no real connection at all. And these are all very talented actors in these roles, but they're just given nothing to do to actually make us care for them, except to just be the typical horror movie cliche characters. I mean, Wasikowska has every reason and opportunity to get out of this house, but she decides not to because, well, she's a white person, and that'd be stupid. And a white person would be stupid to leave a haunted house. Now, if it was a black person, yeah, they would have been gone as soon as somebody mentioned the word ghost. It's like, yeah, I'm out of here, just run away. I mean, it's the truth, but you can tell from the introduction of Hiddleston and Chastain's characters that something isn't right about these two characters. The only person I ever find coming off likable in this is Jim Beaver playing the father of Edith. He's great, and even somebody like Charlie Hunnam does a pretty good job in this too, but really he's not really given a whole lot to do in general. The story is your predictable haunted house horror movie. The people still stay in the house even though they know something terrible is happening. It's almost as bad as the 90s remake of The Haunting, and trust me, that's the worst example of a predictable haunted house horror movie. I mean, when you have a scene where two people are with you and they leave as soon as the piano wire almost slits one of their eyes open and never return again. Maybe you should take the advice and follow them out of there, because what you're going to be in for the next hour and a half is bad CGI, and that movie is the definition of a bad CGI-filled horror movie set in a haunted house. But the worst aspect about the movie is that while it does have a lot of good creepy imagery, there's no scares in this movie. You can't have a good horror movie without scares that actually work. Like, you don't even have to do jump scares. Like, there's hardly any scares, and the best ones we saw were already in the trailer, in the commercial, and you would think that somebody with a reputation like Guillermo del Toro would know better than this. But the best way to describe this movie is that it's a style over substance movie. It's got the impressive visuals that fits right into Del Toro's territory, but it really did feel like everything else to Del Toro was completely completely unnecessary. Like, he wanted to put the focus on the visuals, and that was it. Everything else just falls flat. It's a bore fest. There's nothing about the characters that make them memorable. The story is predictable. There's no good scares. It's the first real misstep from a usually reliable director in Guillermo del Toro, and is easily one of the biggest disappointments of 2015 easily. But to his defense, he'll be back in a couple of years with a film that will not only return him to form, but will eventually get him his long-deserved Academy Award for directing and the Best Picture with The Shape of Water. But for this, not one of his better films. Not one of his better films at all. So let's go ahead and move on to, speaking of some more award winners, here's the Oscar-winning Best Actress Brie Larson in Room.
Been nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress Brie Larson. This is the movie everyone is talking about.
You saved me.
Brie Larson is brilliant, unforgettable, and the Golden Globe winner for Best Actress in the film critics are calling the best movie of the year. It inspires and uplifts the soul.
You're gonna love it. What the world?
Room, rated R, now playing.
Ah, yes, back in the day when Brie Larson wasn't seen as a pariah because she agreed to star in Captain Marvel. Heaven forbid. Captain Marvel's not that bad. Those movies are not terrible, and she was not terrible in any of these movies. But you know, the internet says otherwise, because Brie Larson, heaven forbid, she takes on a movie where she's a superhero movie where she's the lead, and all of a sudden the internet's got to go like, oh no. It's just like, it's really pathetic when you look at it in the end. I mean, come on. You're really gonna deny this woman's talents because of a superhero movie? Did you not see some of the other movies she has done before this film and since then? Yeah, let's talk about this movie, because this is a really good movie. It stars Brie Larson as a young woman who has been held captive for 7 years, and whose 5-year-old son, Jacob Tremblay, was born in captivity. Their escape allows the boy to escape the outside world for the first time ever. You have a cast that also includes Joan Allen, Sean Bridgers, Tom McCamus, and William H. Macy among the cast. And this is directed by Lenny Abramson, who we've touched on a couple of his movies in the past. We talked about, did we talk about Frank? I could have sworn we talked about some of his other movies. I don't think we ever covered Frank. Maybe not. Maybe this is the first time we're talking about one of his movies. But regardless, this is a really good movie, and it shows how far Brie Larson has come from, starring in stuff like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and, what was the other one she was in? 21 Jump Street, she was in that one. She was in something else, too. I can't remember what else she was in, but, this is how far she's come as an actress over the years. She puts in a great performance, and essentially a dramatic version of that movie Blast from the Past, where Brendan Fraser's in the time capsule for numerous decades and then comes into our world I think it's in the 1990s or something like that. But this movie's very similar to that film in general, except much more serious. And Jacob Tremblay really gives a really great performance. You forget that this was the kid that was the baby in Smurfs 2. He was only 9 years old when this movie came out. That is incredible how far this kid has come from the Smurfs 2 to Room. That is a massive increase in your career in general, and he's great in the movie. Like, you buy their chemistry together. Brie Larson is giving a great performance, but Tremblay really is knocking it out of the park and showing what kind of a future he'll have as an actor, because he's turned out to be one of our great young actors out there. This movie works all across the board, man. It's a really good film, a really engaging movie with 2 strong performances. And again, shows what Brie Larson's able to do as an actress in general. And, you know, if you ever want to badmouth her career, look at movies like this. Look at movies like Just Mercy. Look at Scott Pilgrim. Look at 21 Jump Street. Look at Kong Skull Island. I mean, this woman is a really good actress. I'm sorry if you don't want to admit the truth, but that's the honest truth. This woman can act her ass off, and she is a really good actress, plain and simple. But yeah, I think most of us out there kind of know the truth about that. But it's the people that, you know, like to go online and like the bots out there and like to go out there and start the shit. I mean, actually watch the movie and realize this woman can be pretty damn good as an actress. But I mean, I got nothing else to tell you about that one. That is Room. Really good film, definitely worth checking out. So, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is Truth.
On the president's military service.
Several experts have questioned the authenticity of these new documents.
This is bad.
Do you know what it would take to fake these memos?
Is what we presented accurate?
They do not get to smack us just for asking the question.
We were talking about you bringing your politics into your reporting.
I did nothing of the kind.
Where does politics not enter into this? You stop asking questions, and that's when people lose.
Truth, rated R, opens New York and LA October 16th.
Man, if Dan Rather could see what CBS has done 20 years after this whole controversy with him, he'd probably be looking at this, going back and looking at this and going like, well, at least I'm not as bad as what's going on now with CBS News. But yeah, how fitting that this movie actually is coming out around that is coming over the point where CBS News is going through this hell that they're doing under the Bari Weiss ownership. But this is a movie based off the memoirs from Mary Mapes, Truth and Duty, with Cate Blanchett starring as Mapes, and it's about the Killian documents controversy and the resulting last days of news anchor Dan Rather, played by Robert Redford here. This is written and directed by James Vanderbilt, who is a very good writer. He's written stuff like Zodiac, and the cast also includes Topher Grace, Dennis Quaid, Elizabeth Moss, Bruce Greenwood, John Benjamin Hickey, Stacy Keach, Dermot Mulroney, and William Devane, and also, like I said, is very relevant because of what's been going on with 60 Minutes, with CBS News in recent years, and essentially the turmoil that's taking place now. I mean, you could definitely see the similarities between what happened in 2004 to today. And yeah, this is a movie that is very much a movie that I think is something that needs to kind of be seen nowadays, just to see how CBS handled this stuff back in the day here. And, you know, it's very interesting that CBS basically didn't approve the film, but they didn't make a whole lot of changes about it, and they basically weren't planning on condemning the film. They were just kind of like, we'll just let it go. It'll come and pass. I mean, it's not a movie that nobody's going to really remember, which they were kind of right on that, because this thing, unfortunately, was not a big hit critically or financially. But Dan Rather did praise the movie, saying there is so much right about the film, and I think that's the best thing that's even ever been up on the screen about how television news really works. The reporting side of it, the telephone calls, wearing out the shoe leather, going to see people, developing sources. And he also praised Robert Redford's performance, saying that he did not, which I appreciated that much, tried to imitate. He tried to get some essence of me as a person and a professional. And really, he's kind of right. Robert Redford really is very good as Dan Rather. He's not doing the Dan Rather speaking types. You know, he's not really copying Dan Rather. He's doing his own thing while only adding a little bit of elements from Dan Rather's speaking abilities. And it makes for a very intriguing film in general here. I'm not going to say it's a classic movie by any means necessary, but it's a movie that is kind of underrated, and one I think definitely that deserves a lot more attention, especially with the CBS News once again being in the news themselves nowadays for some of the stuff that's going on there now with the new regime. This is actually a pretty good movie. I was actually kind of surprised at how much I really enjoyed it. Definitely one worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Truth is one, very underrated, definitely worth checking out one time. But with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last film we have here. Probably one of the most important movies of recent memories, because it's the first time that Netflix is going to be taking on some movies of their own. And they picked a pretty good one to start off their feature film division, which is Idris Elba in Beast of No Nation.
Mark this victory. Go ahead and bring me my charge.
So it's basically a serious version of Who Killed Captain Alex. I mean, how can I not bring that up with a movie like this? But this is, of course, like I said, the first feature film released directly by Netflix, directed by Karijoshi Fukunaga from True Detective. One of the films that essentially kind of gave him the next James Bond movie, No Time to Die, even though it would come 6 years after this movie's release. This is based off of a novel by Uzodinma Iweala, and it follows a young boy who becomes a child soldier as his country experiences a horrific civil war. Shot in Ghana and starring Idris Elba, Abraham Atta, Amake Aberbreeze, Grace Norty, David Donta, and Opiima Fagbonhungbi. Probably got all these names wrong, but I'm just reading it off Wikipedia here. And the book itself is being named after a Fela Kuti album. And like I said, man, this is where Netflix kind of said, hey, we're coming into the feature film game. We already show that we can do TV pretty well, so we figured let's go ahead and try to take this to the next level with filmmaking. And sure enough, picked a really damn good movie to start it off with here, because this is definitely one of the best movies to be released that year, with a strong performance by Idris Elba as the Commandant, and a lot of really, really impressive filmmaking all across the board here. It's a very uncompromising look at a situation where, you know, you see the horrors of war, but also possibly the benefits of war, and essentially what holds for the future in general here. And it was a movie that really changed the game a lot, because remember, this is a movie that Netflix is putting out on their own, and Netflix was notoriously known for the longest time to be against theater releases. I mean, when they were going to buy Warner Brothers, that was the big thing everyone was worried about. You know, how serious is Netflix going to be with Warner Brothers releasing films theatrically? And, you know, Netflix was notoriously known for doing that, to the point where the online release of this actually had a lot of controversy, where the traditional 90-day release window of exclusivity to theaters caused a lot of the big studios, AMC, Carmike, Cinemark, Regal, to drop the film from getting a release. So basically, the company that put this out in theaters, Bleecker Street, had to go to a smaller number of theaters to put this out there. And I think also because of this, it didn't do very well at the Academy Awards. It didn't get any nominations at all, and everyone thought Idris Elba was kind of going to be a lock for one of those awards, but it did get a Golden Globe, but that's about it. And then a Screen Actors Guild Award. Yeah, most people thought that this was going to be a one-time thing. Netflix puts this out, and then we'll never hear from them again. And then sure enough, 11 years later, they nearly had a studio of their own with Warner Brothers until, you know, Paramount came into the picture. But regardless, this is a really solid movie. It's a very entertaining film. It's directed by the guy who did True Detective, and showing what he can do as a filmmaker as a whole. Idris Elba is really good in it too. I liked it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a very good film, and showing what Netflix is capable of when it comes to filmmaking in general. Even though technically it's not really their movie, they bought it from a festival, but I mean, you could see what they were doing. They were going to take chances, and this was a good way to show everybody that we are for real, and we're going to make good movies. Hopefully, you'll come and see them. Yeah, it's a great movie. It's one that I do recommend checking out if you want to see how Netflix got into the filmmaking business to start it off with. Beast of No Nation definitely is one of those movies that is well worth a look. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and let's just say that after so many good weeks where the hits just kept on coming, you knew at some point they were going to come to an end, and sure enough, we've reached that point. On the next episode, we'll take a look at such masterpieces of filmmaking like Vin Diesel in The Last Witch Hunter, and Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension in 3D. Because you know what's going to help a struggling franchise in 2015? Adding 3D, another thing that was struggling to find its place in the world again at that point. But we also have Bill Murray starring in Barry Levinson's latest film, Mark the Casbah, the infamous Gem and the Holograms from Blumhouse Studios, and Suffragette. Is that it, or do we have any more? No, I believe that's it. Just those 5 films, but most of them are not very good movies, so this is not going to be a fun weekend overall, but we got to get through it. We got to get through this year already, because we're getting close to the end of 2015, but we'll start on that continuation tomorrow on this channel. I don't even know what I was saying there, but bottom line, we'll be back tomorrow with more reviews, so how about that? With that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you found some enjoyment out of this. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.